Let's integrate the Gemini API into a Flutter app in just 10 minutes. We'll build a simple app from scratch. So let's get started. First, open your VS Code or terminal and create a new Flutter project using the Flutter create command. Once the project is created, use the cd command to move into the project's root directory. Finally, run code dot to open the project directly in VS Code. Next, open the pubspec.yaml file and remove all the default comments. Now, head over to the main.dart file, select everything and delete it. Then type mate app. If you have the awesome Flutter snippets extension installed, it will instantly generate a material app template for you. Change the app name to Gemini API integration in the class name, the material app, and the app bar. Add a column to the body. Inside its children, add a text field with the hint text, ask something. Create a text editing controller instance. And assign it to the text field's controller property. Finally, add a sized box below the text field to give it some breathing space. Add an outlined button to trigger the API call. Set its text to ask. Use the Flutter run command to launch the app in the emulator. Wrap the column widget with a padding widget and set the padding to 16. Then, wrap the outlined button with a size box. And set its width to double dot infinity, so it fills the available width. We also need to display the response below the button, so first add a sized box for some spacing, and then add a text widget to show the response. Add a string variable named _response to store the API response, and initialize it with an empty string. Add the _response variable to the text widget, so it displays the API response. Change the stateless widget to a stateful widget. Search for Gemini API in your browser to access the official documentation. Click on the displayed link, then click API reference in the top left corner. Select the Interactions API, and then choose the v1 stable version. Check out the REST API example request. As you can see, we'll need an API key. First, let's test it in PostMan and see how it works. This is the URL we're going to use. In the headers, we need to provide an API key, so let's create one. If you've already created an API key, you can simply click the Copy API Key button. Otherwise, click Create API Key, then create a new project or select an existing one. Your API key will be generated. You can rename it if you'd like, then copy it. The API key will also be added to the list for future use. Now, go back to Postman and paste the API key into the headers. Provide the model and the input in the body of the API request and click Send. In the response, the generated text is stored in the text field. Now, let's create an API key variable and a method to call the Gemini Interactions API. We'll name the method _generate_content. It will be an asynchronous method, and we'll pass the prompt from our text field to this method. We'll use an HTTP post request, just like we did in Postman. Before that, add the HTTP package to the project. Import the HTTP package with the alias HTTP. This allows you to access the package's methods. We've already added the API key. Similarly, we also need to add the API URL and pass it to the HTTP post method. Then, include the headers and the request body, just like we did in PostMan. For the request body, use JSON encode. Provide the latest Gemini model and the prompt in the request body. Oh yes, we need to pass the URL in URI format. Store the response returned by the HTTP post request in a variable. If the response status code is 200, decode the response body using JSON decode. In Postman, you saw the steps array. Select the second item, open the content array, select the first item, and finally access the text field to get the generated response. In the else block, we can return the error response. Wrap everything inside a try block so that if any exception occurs, we can catch and handle it. Next, call the _generate content method inside the buttons on pressed callback. Assign the returned response to the _response variable. Add a wait before the _generate content method and make the callback async so it works correctly. We need to show a circular progress indicator while we're waiting for the response. To do that, add a loading variable and initialize it with false. Based on the value of loading, we can display either the circular progress indicator or the button. I don't know why the format Flutter code command isn't working right now, so I'm using the Dart format lib/main.dart command instead. Inside setState, change the loading variable to true before making the API call. After the API call completes, set it back to false. For simplicity, I'll store the returned response in a final variable first, and then assign it to the _response variable. Oh, I forgot to remove the debug banner. Let's remove it. Now, rerun the app and check if it's working correctly. Oh, it's working, but we're getting an overflow error. To fix that, wrap the padding widget with a single child scroll view. Now it's working fine, but if we click the button again with a new prompt, we should clear the previous response first. So, set the _response variable to an empty string. Finally, we did it! If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more Flutter and AI tutorials. You can also run the app in Chrome using the Flutter Run-D Chrome. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.